Jill K from the Rabbit Hole here. Today I'm going to make a shaker card for you using hot foiling. I'm going to show you how we hot foil and how you can use the negative image. So like I hot foiled this is the Amanda plate, and then I used the negative image to do this. So you end up using all your foil and you get two really cool backgrounds or word stamps or what have you. So let's get going. So this is the card that I'm going to show you. I used my Adventure hot foil die, and I used the sentiment, if you don't know where you're going, any road can get you there. So what I did is I stamped the sentiment on an acetate sheet with some Stays On black. It may take you a couple times to get it really like the darkest or I don't know, a full stamp. I know sometimes on the acetate it'll, actually that one came up pretty good. I don't know if you can see it. So you can see how that stamped pretty good. You could stamp it a second time or a third time to get it darker. So that is the first step. You want to go ahead and stamp the sentiment on your acetate. Okay, so we're going to hot foil the Adventure word die. And when I use the word dies, I like to, you know, cut them, the foil, so it fits it, you know, pretty well. So how I'm going to do this is I am going to tape, actually, let me use some washi tape instead of this. I am going to tape down my foil to my card, or the, you know, the paper, sorry. And I do use the Spellbinders Glimmer paper. I've experimented. I have used the Hammer Mill, which I color on. I have also used the Accent Opaque White, which I use as my card base. I have used some other stuff, and I just feel like the Glimmer Specialty paper really is actually better. You get a really nice result, really clean and clear. So what I've done is I have my paper, I have my foil, and then I have my die, and I've taped it all down so I know exactly where my foiling is going to happen. So this gets now put into the glimmer machine. Okay, so my green ready light is on. So when that's all heated up and on, you can go ahead and place your plates and everything down. So I'm going to use the tool, the little magnet tool, to place mine. I'm just going to drop it right in the center, and then I'm going to hit my timer. And then when the timer goes solid, then it's time to take it off and run it through your cutting platform. So I'm going to go ahead and let this heat up and run it through my platform. Okay, I ran it through my platform. So I've put my little rubber hot pad down here. So you take off your plate and your shims. I'm actually going to grab this because sometimes it's hot. Go ahead and peel off the die. And you have your wonderful word. Now there are some little spots, and it's funny because I had this spot when I did my card too, this one right here. But you can take a mono eraser. Once it's cooled down, you can take a mono eraser and you can actually buff those right off. And what you're left with is this cool negative image. So I'm not going to go ahead and show you the negative image with this because it does have this little flaw in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Amanda plate. What do I do with it? And this cool holographic foil. And I'm going to show you the foiling and reverse foiling technique with that so you can see how it looks. Stay tuned. Okay, so let me show you the foiling and the reverse foiling with the Amanda hot foil cover plate. And as you can see, I messed up before and I hot foiled right onto my plate. This is not the first time I've done that. It doesn't hurt it. It won't affect it. It just makes your die a little prettier. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my foil, and I want to make sure that I have it long enough to cover. So I'm just gonna use my die as a reference. I am using the little Spellbinders cutting mat and tool for the foil. I do like to use it. I don't always use the guide that comes with it, but I do like the little knife in the mat. It does make it a little easier to use. And I did, you can see I took the cover for the little knife, for the foil knife, and I double-sided adhesived it to the mat because I lose this little thing in my box of foils. I have this cool box of foils, and I lose it in there. So I taped it there so I will always find it. So that's my one fun little trick. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to tape the foil to the paper. And I'm gonna use my trusty washi tape because, you know, that's pretty much the only thing you use washi tape for. And then I am going to, oops, put my cover plate on. You want to make sure you have the cover plate where the paper is. My paper was pre-cut. I got it as part of my design team stuff from Marianne at the Rabbit Hole. Otherwise, I would probably use a little bigger piece of paper and not one that's cut so small. I would probably cut it big. And I have just ordered some, so you may see me do that in the future. So now we're ready to go ahead and put this through the glimmer machine. Okay, so my glimmer plate is all ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that down. I'm gonna put on my shim and my plate, and I'm gonna set my timer. And when my timer stops, which is when the second green light flashing one is also solid, I'm gonna run it through my die cutting machine. All right, let's see how it came out. I'm just gonna I'm gonna slide it off of there. And there we have a really cool bunch of holographic vines. So then we're gonna take this sheet and we're gonna foil that onto the paper also. Okay, so we're going to foil this really cool negative piece. When you do that, you need shims. You also need something underneath your paper, just because you'll get the little ridges on the glimmer plate, those square ridges. Those will show up if you don't have something underneath and a little larger than the piece you're gonna work on. So I have this piece, obviously I've used it before. So I'm gonna put my glimmer paper, my specialty glimmer paper on there. And then I'm going to lay my foil. And then I have two shims. So the piece I put on the bottom and these two pieces are both accent opaque white paper, 120 pound. It's the thick paper. It's what I use when if I use it, sorry, duh, brain freeze. I use it for my base paper, for, you know, my card base. So they're nice and thick and sturdy. I like really, really thick, sturdy cards. I don't like flimsy cards. So that's what I use, and that's my sandwich, and I found that it works good for me. So let's go ahead and run this onto my machine. It's ready. And just like you do when you're using the plate, you're just gonna lay this whole sandwich down. And you're gonna lay down your plate and your shim. And we're gonna set the timer, and when the second blinking green light goes solid, I will run it through my die cut and we'll have a reveal. All right, let's check out how it turned out. And there you have the negative image. So for your one piece of foil, you're gonna get your image, and then you're gonna get your negative image. And this is a little much with the holographic paper, I will admit, although I wanted to see how it turned out. So you get two backgrounds or two pieces that are foiled, and you're not wasting all that foil. Look at how you used up all the foil. So if you're worried about wasting foil doing little stuff, you can always do the negative. Thanks. Okay, so I have all the components of my card. I have my little frame cut. I have my sentiment stamped on my acetate. I have my word hot foiled. I have my card base. So let's do a couple things first. I'm gonna attach this down onto the card base with my tape runner. And I'm gonna go ahead and just eyeball center that. Sorry. I like to score it after that first one. Okay, and then I'm going to put some tape runner on the back of my frame to attach my acetate. I know some of you guys like glue, the liquid glue or the chisel glue. I just have a super hard time with the glue and these sizes or pieces of paper. So I just like to go ahead and use the tape runner. So I'm gonna actually do this from the back and hope that I line it up good. And I think I just have to trim my acetate a tiny bit right there. Okay. And then what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put my foam strips on. And I already pre-cut them to the size that I needed. I'm not just like magically pulling them off and having them fit. I actually did measure them earlier. And watch, now they won't be the right one. Okay, so that's all ready. So then I'm going to go back here. And a little fun thing I like to do when I make shaker cards is, you know how when you're shaking them up, and I don't have mine close enough to grab right now. No. When you're shaking it up, all the stuff sits at the bottom. So what I like to do is, I like to, and I'm gonna, that little dot, there's still a little mark there, so I'm gonna put a little rhinestone there. So what I do is I'd like to just dot some glue all around, and then take some of my my confetti or my sequins or like these little jewels, whatever's in the mix you're gonna make your card with. Like we have this really fun flower. Actually, probably need more glue for that. But whatever you're gonna put in, I like to glue some down. That way, when you're holding the card upright, or you know you're shaking it, some of your elements will stay all around the card. They won't just go, you know, everything to the bottom. So there, that is kind of fun. And then what I do is, do you have one of these? Do you have a little bunny dish? These things are great. So I just sprinkle the sequins in. Spread them around. Then, I know you guys have made shaker cards and this is probably repetitive, but just bear with me. So I'm gonna pull the rest of the paper off of those foam strips. Try not to drop it. And just go ahead and center it right over. I'm not going to pick this up and shake it around yet because that glue is still drying. But there, there you have your basic shaker card. Super easy, using your hot foil die, using your sentiment strips or your sentiment stamps. And it's a fun, easy card for you to do.